Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up in our news tonight, the Minister of National Security responds to possible COVID-19 spread at the Bahamas Department of Corrections. Vendors at Arawak Key have mixed reviews on COVID-19 protocols. Plus, a local environmentalist is calling for the government to stop, review, and cancel the oil deal. Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Hope you're enjoying your holiday. I'm Georgio Bain. Topping news tonight. Minister of National Security Marvin Dame says there is no truth to a spread of COVID-19 at the Bahamas Department of Corrections. Dame says so far there has only been one case.
We have the Bahamas Department of Corrections, an institution that is, we know that it is crowded. It's beyond capacity, right? While we're working to address that, that's not going to happen overnight, all right? And to date, all right, the record will reflect that we had one inmate who would have contracted COVID. There was another inmate, but he did not contract COVID in the prison. He contracted COVID outside of the prison while receiving medical care. And he remained outside until he was well enough to be returned to the prison.
Dames responded to criticism that conditions at the prison are not safe due to overcrowding.
I've seen the criticism on social media, well, we need to deal with our prison, we need to get... But, you know, that is not by happenstance. Because prior to when COVID first hit at the beginning of last year, all of these agencies took measures to ensure that they were able to mitigate the spread of COVID within their respective agencies. And while they're on the front line, which certainly increases the risk or increased the risk for their officers.
Dames commended the leadership of the armed forces that he says have formulated efficient enough plans to keep COVID-19 numbers down within their organizations.
And some of them were hit, but they took recognizing that they understood that, listen, we're going to have some of our officers impacted, but how do we manage that? And so they created bubbles within their own institutions to ensure that they were able to mitigate the spread. And all of these agencies are doing extremely well.
With frequent testing for COVID-19 now common at major hotels on the island, Director of the HIV/AIDS and Infectious Disease Program, Dr. Nakia Forbes, says there should be no concern over adverse effects once the tests are carried out properly.
If the trained provider is doing the test properly, there should be minimal or no trauma. However, it is a swab that's inserted into the nose, and so you could get a little nose bleeding if there could be trauma to the nostrils and the mucosa in the nostrils. That nosebleed should stop. There should be no long-term consequences if the swab is done properly.
Dr. Forbes says side effects of frequent testing could include some discomfort, nosebleeds, and throat irritation, but she says there should not occur with every test.
Well, trained providers, again, the methodology of how you take the sample shouldn't result in significant injury. And as a matter of fact, there are variations, but both nostrils can be sampled and the back of the throat in some sampling. And so, no, I couldn't say that is medically suggested.
Meanwhile, some Arawak Key vendors are giving mixed reviews on how COVID-19 protocols are impacting their businesses. Our Jasmine Brown reports.
2 months after restaurants at Arawak Key were allowed to resume outdoor dining, nearly half of them have yet to reopen, and some say the pandemic and COVID-19 protocols have hampered business. Owner of Andra's Hideout on Arawak Key, Willard McKinsey, said some vendors simply cannot afford to open at this point, especially given the limited manner in which they are permitted to operate.
We faced with one problem out here, you know, when you left from home, you come out to your business to try and make ends meet, to try to see if you can catch up with some of these bills. And being a business owner and coming out every day and you faced with problem, being a business owner, you faced with a lot of problem because you have the COVID, people they out, every 5-10 minutes when the people want to come by to your business, it's always a problem, you know. And being a business person, you have to go through this every day. I think the Prime Minister should put something in order for we to run our business, you know, in the right way, you know, whereby at the end of the day we'll be able to make a profit, and not only making a profit for ourselves, we can also be able to hire some of the people back to work.
Bruno Minnis, owner of Bruno's Seafood and Steak Bar, shared a similar view, noting that there seems to be a misunderstanding about whether bars and Arawak restaurants can operate.
We are already working with a small space just for outside dining. And what they were telling us, that customers are not allowed to sit to our bar. I know the Prime Minister said liquor stores and bars them are closed, but I don't think that it meant for us in a restaurant setting. Because if we can't get to sell drinks, the persons who sit to our bar with the space we're working on, it's just might as well be closed, because we can't see any profit like that.
However, president of the Arawak Conch Fish and Food Vendors Association and owner of Rad Snapper, Rodney Russell, said the COVID ambassadors have been a much-needed help for business owners.
We're asking the Bahamians to adhere to the rules and regulations so that we can stay open. Now, we also have the ambassadors, the COVID ambassadors, who is trying their best to help us to control persons who does not apply to the rules and regulations. We welcome that, and we look forward to the government assisting the Arawaki business owners in the months to come.
Meantime, Hamish Moxie, owner of Gone Fishin' Beach Bar and Grill, said business owners often suffer for the behavior of members of the public.
One of my greatest problems I've seen out here is passing in New Year's Day in the afternoon, and the place was like a fair. You know, when social distancing is supposed to be enforced, we have COVID-19 people all around and so forth, but then the whole parking lot is packed with people all over the streets. You can't even move, it's like sardine. And then on top of that is the evening passing to head back home. You couldn't even get past this way for whatever reason. I heard there was some incidents and blah, blah, blah around about 8:30, 9 o'clock that night. You know, and on Sundays it's the same thing. You know, but if we could get those kind of things in place, and most, to be honest, and not knocking anybody, but the persons that come out here and are just roaming and hanging out in the parking lots with their car back trunks open, drinking, they're not patronizing the business, but we always suffer for things like this.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
In other news, Save the Bay's chairman, Joseph Darville, says he believes the Minnis administration should have stopped, reviewed, and cancelled any agreement that would have allowed oil drilling in the Bahamas. Darville says as far as he's concerned, that should have been the only approach to the deal.
With the profession of our Prime Minister being totally opposed to oil drilling in the country, and a fairly large number of his cabinet and other members of Parliament, we find it very distressing that as a sovereign nation, we were not able to stop something that is potentially catastrophic to the perpetuation of our beautiful ocean.
His comments came after Supreme Court Justice Petra Hannah Adderley ruled that Bahamas Petroleum Company's oil drilling exercise may continue, but agreed to allow a full hearing of a challenge against the government's decision to approve the drilling. The matter was brought by Waterkeeper Bahamas Limited and Coalition to Save Clifton Bay, Save the Bays, represented by Fred Smith QC. In Parliament last month, former State Minister for Legal Affairs and current Minister for Financial Services, Trade and Industry and Immigration, Eldred Johnson, said he tried everything he could to get the government out of the agreement with Bahamas Petroleum Company, but Darville says he and other environmentalists simply are not buying it.
I do not buy that argument even for a dime or a penny. The fact is that we are a sovereign nation, and if there's something that is potentially damaging, ongoing for our country, it is responsibility of those in power, along with the people of the country, to stop it, no matter what it is, what permission would have been given. That is the thing that we have determined, whether or not we are an independent and sovereign nation.
Well, still to come on our news, why the National Trust Director says the proposed fisheries bill may not be so bad. Plus, the Minister of Works gives an update on the fate of shanty towns on 2 islands. Stay with us.
Hey Rev customer, Did you know that you can change and add multiple credit or debit cards to your online payment? Simply log into my.rev.bs, sign into your My account, click Pay Now, then enter your card details, and click Save to File. It's that simple. We are committed to providing you with excellent, reliable service no matter what. Stay connected with Rev, anywhere, anytime.
Welcome back to our news. Thanks for staying with us. Amid continued criticism over government's Bill 2020, Bahamas National Trust Executive Director Eric Carey says more Bahamians should read the bill for themselves. The bill has been deemed discriminatory by some as it seeks to prevent non-Bahamians from participating in commercial fishing. However, Carey says he somewhat understands.
Yeah, so the minister has made it very clear. Both ministers, the Minister of Agriculture and Marine Resources and the Minister of Immigration, have made it clear that their view is that they want fishing reserved for Bahamians. They have exercised a position that pretty much says we want to reserve this little piece of our economy, for Bahamians. So that is a position that I certainly understand. I don't think it's an untenable position.
Former Prime Minister Hubert Ingram has also criticized that aspect of the bill, saying that it goes against some of the values of the Free National Movement. Some families of foreign fishermen have also come out against the bill, enlisting the legal help of attorney Alfred Sayers. But there have also been many Bahamian fishermen who have also come out in support of the bill.
But there is a rationale why Bahamian fishermen were pushing it, that they felt that there was a lot of destructive practices which were being undertaken by fishermen who came from a certain fishing culture and brought those practices with them. So that is an issue that Bahamian fishermen have, and that is an issue that they've put forward to the government. But as we've indicated, it is now a legal issue, and the courts will probably decide that. But do I understand why the minister was advancing it? As he stated clearly, his job is to ensure the interest of Bahamians, and that is what he put forward.
In other news, after being closed for more than a year, St. Francis de Sales Catholic School on Abaco reopened its doors last week. The school was badly damaged during Hurricane Dorian and has been closed ever since. Catholic Board of Education Director Claudette Wool said so far the cost has been some $1.2 million to rebuild the school.
For example, just to get our primary school, and we're putting up a new administration block, and that will be fully completed by the end of this month. That was over $1.2 million. And so it's cost us quite a bit to get it going, but we knew that education is important for us. That social ministry of the church, particularly in the family islands like Abaco, is very important to us.
Roll adds that the Catholic Board has had the help of generous donors. She says the construction on Every Child Counts, a special needs school on the island, is expected to be completed by the end of April. As for St. Francis, the school is presently operating at limited capacity.
We have renovated the primary section, most of the primary section, and so really they're only back at the primary level, and we're hoping that soon we would be able to get the school in full swing.
Well, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Public Works Desmond Bannister remaining tight-lipped over the fate of those shanty towns in Abaco and Andros. Bannister says the issue is before Cabinet.
I wish I could give you an update. There are matters that are before Cabinet.
Last October, Bannister told the press his ministry will target several illegal structures that have been built in Andros. It came weeks after he also revealed that the government has issued 50 eviction notices to residents in unregulated structures on the mainland of Abaco and Elbow Key since late June. While Bannister could not give an update on the process, he did say this.
Until Cabinet makes determinations, I'm not free to be able to tell you about these issues. They're matters that my colleagues and I have to consider.
The pandemic has left many Bahamians unsure of their financial futures and the struggles to provide basic necessities for their families. But Families for All Murder Victims, FOAM, is encouraging those who need help to speak up and to ask for assistance if they need it. FOAM support staff member Brittany Davis Evans says help is available.
Yeah, as an organization, to even coach persons, as Ms. Gibson does her chaplaincy. We have persons here also that we'll even lend a prayer also. We'll have a prayer session with them. We'll also let them feel comforted, even if you're in distress, no matter what it may could be. We are just here to help the community because we don't know what could trigger off these things to happen. We don't know what's actually in the heart of man. Like the Bible says, we don't know what's in the heart of man. But we only could just seep and we could try work and try to compromise with them to find out what is going on so we could nip that in the bud.
Office Manager Bianca Walks making this appeal to all single mothers, especially those who have lost loved ones to violence.
If you are a single mother and you're in need of assistance pertaining to groceries, baby milk, Pampers, wipes, just contact us at 603-4141. You could also WhatsApp that number and we'll be sure to assist you, me, Brittany, or other staff by the name of Jamie. So just know that we're here to support you if you need an ear to talk to, a friendly ear to talk to, and anyone to listen to your problems, whatever you might have. We're here to assist.
According to Evans, the organization is determined to do its part in curbing the country's crime and violence problem.
We're just here to help to reframe the nation, to make life a whole different way of how they look at it, and however we could do in our best ability with grocery, even if rental assistance, when we have donations, anything to relieve the pressure, the stress, we are here to help. So that's what we're all about.
When our news comes back from the break, how small steps towards a healthy lifestyle can make a big difference. Plus, why one business owner says the real fallout from the pandemic will be seen this year. The details when our news returns.
Hey Rev customer, did you know that you can change and add multiple credit or debit cards to your online payment? Simply log into my.rev.bs, sign into your My account, click Pay Now, then enter your card details, and click Save to File. It's that simple. We are committed to providing you with excellent, reliable service no matter what. Stay connected with Rev, anywhere, anytime.
You're watching our news. Thanks for staying with us. Well, gyms across the country were dealt a blow during the pandemic when their doors were shut and remained shut even when many other businesses were permitted to reopen. It's been nearly a month since gyms welcomed back fitness enthusiasts, but some are still skeptical about how safety and social distancing can be carried out while working out. Well, our Christina Dragovich tells us more.
Lockdowns and social distancing may have kept many people from contracting COVID-19, but it also had a not so desirable side effect: extra pounds and a more sedentary lifestyle as we traded our running shoes for the chance to put our feet up and relax. But now that gyms have reopened, founder and president of MacFit 360, Jimmy Mackey, says his gym is focused on making a safe environment for all.
What a lot of people found out with COVID, the restrictions of not being able to do certain things and go certain places. So you get a lot of people talk about the COVID bodies, right? And it's a true fact that persons eat more when they're home, right? They're not active anymore, so they're sedentary behind a desk because maybe you're working from home. And then now all of a sudden people are like, yo, I'm just tired of the home workouts. I need some weights, I need some equipment, because you get bored at times. I mean, even myself being a trainer, I'm like, dude, I can't work out with dumbbells no more. I need equipment, and that's what most persons are now noticing, like their bodies has declined in terms of strength.
Mackey says attendance has been pretty stable since reopening, and now he says there's something similar to the New Year's rush where gyms may notice a spike in people who want to trade their home workouts for a gym session.
We are humans. We want to be around other humans. We want to be in an environment where you have music playing and there's excitement. But then we still have to remember social distancing and, all the different things we have to now put into play of our regular or, lifestyle, trying to continue to, to lose those pounds.
With procedures in place for members and employees, Mackey says it also helps that his facilities have the space to make social distancing second nature.
We can actually have persons more spread out based on equipment layout, based on the classes. We have indoor, outdoor, which is a great option now to have outdoor classes instead of being in a smaller room. We can now, still have that fresh air and the ventilation that persons need, while they're exerting themselves during workouts.
If you are able to get up and get out, Mackey says it's one of the best investments you can make in your future.
Chronic illnesses, what COVID does to that, right? People with these different diabetes or heart disease, hey, you want to be more active more now than ever. Our goal as MacFit is to kind of help people along the way to show them that, hey, we do have environments where you can come in and now pursue a healthy lifestyle.
According to the country's latest health data, nearly half of all the country's COVID-19 related deaths also suffered from non-communicable diseases, including hypertension, heart disease, or diabetes. Reporting for our news, I'm Christina Dragovich.
Meanwhile, Simplified Lending founder and Chief Executive Officer Robert Pantry says the business community will likely see the true fallout from the pandemic in 2021. He says while his business experienced some challenges, it assisted more than 300 companies and is hoping to expand that number in 2021. Pantry says he is cautiously optimistic about 2021.
Able to assist over 300 businesses, simplified ourselves. And that was in 2020. We're looking to expand the relationship with the SBDC, working along with the IDB to see if we can now ramp that up and see if we can, exceed that in 2021.
He insisted that 10 years from now, many small business owners will look back at how they built their vision in 2020 despite the odds. Pantry explains that his business was forced to pivot last year, by helping clients to build their businesses during a pandemic.
The path, when we set our business plan at the beginning of the year, the path that we had set out, it didn't happen quite that way. But nonetheless, like any other nimble business, we had to pivot, and we were able to make it out of COVID at a point where we can still be here to help with the growth and the rebound from COVID-19.
Well, flamingos strut their stuff at a local zoo that reopens its doors. That's coming up when our news returns.
Hey Rev customer, did you know that you can change and add multiple credit or debit cards to your online payment? Simply log into my.rev.bs, sign into your My account, click Pay Now, then enter your card details, and click Save to File. It's that simple. We are committed to providing you with excellent, reliable service no matter what. Stay connected with Rev, anywhere, anytime.
Both the staff and animals at Adastra Gardens are happy to be back open after having to shut their doors for months because of the coronavirus. Though the daily routine has had to change, the brilliant colors and exhibitions of the exotic animals are still on display, and Jillian Gray has more.
The fancy footwork of the flamingos has not been seen in several months, but as Adastra Gardens is now getting back into the swing of things, the flamingos are dancing once again. As the animals are used to large crowds, the past few months without people have had a few of them craving attention. Animal manager Andrew Haley says keeping up the animals' routine had to be done with just a skeleton crew, as they had to reduce staff to stay afloat.
Unfortunately, we had to reduce some of our staff members. We obviously can't do that with the animals. They still have to eat the same diet that they were eating prior to March. They still have to get after March. So we were just basically trying to keep afloat as much as possible, running with the skeleton crew, running on reduced hours. So we were just working basically half days straight throughout the pandemic. The animals, of course, some of them were affected, like the parrots. They love the attention. As you guys were coming in, they were already starting to tell you hello. So they were definitely excited for the gates to be back open.
The zoo reopened in November for weekend visits only. Persons must book in advance to grab one of 61-hour spots. So far, Haley said, locals and tourists have been enjoying being able to visit the park again. Of course, all safety measures have been implemented, especially for workers.
To the animals, although it's not been prominent, there has been 1 or 2 cases where certain cats have, caught some version of COVID at other zoos in the States. So things like that we're definitely trying to avoid. But just like any other zoos, they're just trying to do their part just to keep the gates open, because here at Adastra, our main income comes from the people walking through the front gate. So if that's closed and no one's coming in, or it's just a very slow, it's going to be very hard to maintain that daily care for the animals,
And that daily care for the animals can be supported through annual membership fees, which Haley said is important, especially now. They're also trying to be innovative in what they offer, hosting drive-in movie showings and photo shoots to diversify their income.
So as schools start to go back, kids start to get back into classes, teachers have been reaching out to us, so we're going to open up our field trip programs. Basically, they can come either Mondays or Wednesdays, but we're only allowing 2 classes per day. Okay. All right. So like I said, it's a 4-acre property. It's lots of space. So we'll be doing guided tours and stuff like that, and they'll still be able to keep their distance.
Whether it be a parrot, flamingo, or one of the other exotic animals here at Adastra Gardens, Haley said the best way to provide support is by adopting an animal. Now, while you won't get to take them home, he said your financial support will ensure that the gardens has enough resources to take care of the animals during this difficult time. Reporting for our news, I'm Jillian Gray.
And be sure to tune into the Prime Minister's New Year's message Tuesday, January 12th at 8 p.m. right here on RTV.
Well, thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Georgie O'Bain, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Stay safe, Bahamas.